Cellulose is a structural polymer. We cannot digest it, and it's a polysaccharide made from glucose as a monosaccharide. It is the most present compound in plants, and it is used as wood, paper, cotton, linen, rayon, nitrocellulose, and cellulose acetate for films. It is made in the cell membrane by rosette terminal complexes, which are protein structures that contain the cellulose synthase enzymes that synthesize the individual cellulose chains. Each RTC floats in the cell plasma and spins a microfibril into the cell wall. The synthase is triggered by glucosyltransferase, which uses a steroid, and UDP glucose to create a cellulose chain.
Starch is the most common carbohydrate in the human diet. It is produced by plants as a form of restoring and saving energy. It is also formed by glucose units that are joined by glycosidic bonds. A glycosidic bond is a type of covalent bond that joins a carbohydrate molecule with another group that could be another carbohydrate or not. Starch is formed from 20 to 25% by a linear polymer called amylose, and from 75 to 80% by a branch polymer called amylopectin. Amylase is the enzyme that breaks down starch. It is the only one that can do this because enzymes have active sites, which make them unique. An active site is a port within an enzyme in which substrate molecules bind and go through a chemical reaction. The polymerization of starch is initiated by the modified or activated hydroxyl groups of amylose and amylopectin of starch. This modification is carried out by the reaction of hydroxyl groups with triethylaluminum. The drying of the starch is essential throughout this process. The best way of doing so is by drying the granular starch under reduced pressure. The polymerization is then performed in bulk.
Glycogen. Glycogen is a multi-branched polysaccharide of glucose that serves as a form of energy storage for several animals and fungi. Glycogen is synthesized and stored mostly in the liver and in muscles, and its function is that of being the secondary long-term energy storage, the primary being adipose tissue or fat. It is considered the equivalent of starch in plants, and it represents a very important form of glucose storage. A polysaccharide is a polymeric carbohydrate molecule composed of long chains of monosaccharide units bound together. Glycogen is made of long polymer chains of glucose units, and it starts with the protein glycogen, which is an enzyme that can create short chains of glucose attached to itself. Once these chains contain more than 10 glucose residues, then they can act as a primer, a strand of nucleic acid that serves as a starting point for synthesis, so that proglycogen synthase, which is an enzyme that takes short glucose polymers and turns them into long polymers, can elongate them.
Another one would be natural rubber or polyisoprene. It is an elastomer. This refers to the property that it recovers its form when stretched, derived from latex. Its usage started in ancient Central and South America. They would get the rubber from the latex sap they collected from an incision in the bark of the hevea tree. It is basically a hydrocarbon with the formula C5H8. It is 2 to 4% protein and 1 to 4% acetone-soluble materials. It hardens and gets contracted when heated due to the molecules that get tangled in warmth. It is also water and cold resistant. It is soluble in substances like turpentine and naphtha. 42% of the rubber that is used nowadays comes from this natural latex form. It is mostly used in tires due to the fact that it will melt because of the rubber mix with sulfur and litharge. The great speeds and temperatures they reach when the cars are running won't affect them, and they will keep their form. Other uses are globes, balloons, erasers, and flooring.
Created using Powtoon.